Mike Owens here. Today I'm joined by Rob Font, number 6th ranked UFC bantamweight, and one half of the Font forecast. But we'll push that to one side for today because he's coming off a massive win over Adrian Yanez at UFC 287. Rob, always a pleasure, my man. How are things for you today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks again, bro. Thanks for calling on me. Thanks for texting me, man. Thanks for waking up and watching the fight with the family. Yeah, I'm in a good spot. We got the W. I'm in beautiful Florida, just hanging out with the family. I can't complain, man. I got my daughter with me. I got my fiance, wifey with me, and just trying to like take some time off. Not too much time off, but some time to recover, relax, and get back to it.
Look, obviously a well deserved some time off, and obviously a massive victory in your career. There's been a lot that's gone on over the last couple of years, even since we've spoke. Highs and lows, let's say. So, can you just tell me what your main emotion is right now? Like, what is the main emotion that you're feeling?
Just happy, just happy. I'm just happy. I feel like this. I fixed my wrongs. I'm in the right spot right now, and I'm just like, I'm just again like happy. Just like do the small thing. Just hang out by the pool with my daughter. Just little things like that. Like I don't need much, man. And like when it's like I feel like I have it all when I see her face. So it's like just happy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How many times have you watched the fight back?
Um, I would say at least 2,000. At
I,
least
I
two
I
thousand. Like
think I'm in triple figures, to be quite honest. I mean,
yeah,
when your podcast co-host is got the shortest fight time on the card, I think you're allowed to watch it a couple of
let's
times. I
go.
think that's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. No, definitely. Obviously, we watched it as a team. The night of the fight, and then I bought the pay per view and everything to kind of like go back and watch it, and I watched it a couple times. Every time I keep waking up, Kathy's watching it. So yeah, and then obviously on Instagram and on the reels and everything,
Mm.
they just keep showing it. So I've definitely seen it at least 2,000 times. It was great. It was cool, man. It was a fun night. I think the build up before the fight was perfect. They're really selling them. They're really the media and everybody was kind of basically counting me out, which was cool.
Mm.
I even like me and Tyson even talked. Let's sell this dude up. Let's make him bigger. Let's make him seem bigger and badder than he actually is. And because like if you break him down, I think the hardcore fans knew like, wait a minute, hold up, this is even Vegas got it wrong. It's kind of like I don't think they realized like I think they all thought the same guy that fought Chito was going to come out, and they don't realize that guy was different. I wasn't there mentally, I wasn't there physically. I was basically there for a paycheck, and I got the paycheck, but it wasn't really, it wasn't there. It wasn't the creative raw fun that was going out there
Mm.
to have fun and be creative and look for finishes. And it was more of like having a bad day at the office and just get through it. And you can't do that with MMA. And obviously I learned that the hard way. And I took and I paid. Like I got the check, but I had to sit out for a whole year. So
Mm.
like, was it really worth it? And I never did fight for checks, and I definitely made the mistake of fighting for a check for the last one, and I'll never make that mistake again.
Was the Cheeto fight? Was it trying to get a quick turnaround from Aldo? Was that the reason why you took it so quick, or was it just a paycheck, as you mentioned?
A little bit. I was still kind of butthurt about the whole situation with Aldo, and I'm like, oh, I just want to get back in there and make this right. But it was too short notice.
Mm.
I wouldn't say I was acting a fool, like as far as like I was partying too hard, but I was kind of like doing extras when I wouldn't. Like usually because it was my one of my uncle's 60th birthday, and I would say no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm
Mm.
hanging out. I just like happy birthday, but I was like, you know what? I need some time off. Let me go out there, and so I went out. We went out to we were there for like I think 12 days. It was in the Bahamas, beach house, private chef. Like it was like, and at that it was a free trip, so we extended the trip and stayed a
Mm.
little longer out of our pocket to go to Atlantis. So like I even added extra days to it. So it was kind of like, and then right when I get back, like, hey, you want to fight Cheeto? I'm like, what? Like in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm saying no, but then like I kind of do. And like, I don't want to say no to the UFC. It's another main event. It's a big fight. It kind of gets you back in there. But technically, I'm not in shape for this. Mentally, I'm not there. Like I've been partying. I've been on the beach with Bahama Mamas I'm saying, all week. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I wasn't. I know I gave my time some time off as far as like recovering from the orbital fracture, but I don't think it was enough.
Yeah.
So like you add that in, didn't make weight. The first shot I get punched, my face breaks, and then I'm taking shots that like usually I stand up to, and I'm getting dropped. So it was like it's just a bad night. My attitude started getting worse. I'm not even listening to the corner. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Let me just get back out there. Let me just knock him. I just got to knock him out. And like, and I'm throwing crazy punches that are not necessarily landing. I'm not actually sitting on my shots, and I'm getting rushed. So it was just like a bad night. And this just wasn't me. It wasn't a good night. And again, like, I'm not the type of guy to go out there and make excuses. And I also didn't want to like take away from Chito. It's kind of like, but it's the truth, you know. And I think the media, I think Adrian, they all saw that guy. And it was kind of like, they don't even know. Like, I'm not even nowhere near that guy. I got a whole year off. I'm in shape. My diet's on point. You know, I'm happy. Like I said, I'm physically smiling every day because of the baby. And like he's fought. He caught the wrong guy. I think Chito caught me at the right time, and then Adrian fought the wrong guy. And he came in like, hey, this is going to be sweet. This is going to be easy. This is going to be a quick. He was talking about Sean O'Malley before my fight. Like, he's talking about he wants to fight. I'm like, all right, bro. Like, I'm not going to say nothing. I'm like, yeah, keep doing your thing. Like I'll pick him up. I'm just like, this guy is crazy. Like he's talking about why would Sean O'Malley fight Adrian Yanez? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, why would he? Like, you know, it doesn't even. It was just nonsense. It was like a young kid just saying whatever he had to say in front of the media, in front of the camera. Like I guarantee you, he doesn't believe half of the shit he said. You put the camera in front of him, he has to say something, right? And then just like, all right, bro, like talk about it. Sean O'Malley, like, are you kidding me? Like, he's about to fight for a belt.
Rob, can I just interrupt you for just a second? Because this is a point I wanted to mention, is there's a lot of similarities between Calvin and Giga and you and Yanez. And in terms of both opponents overlooking you, both taking a year off after, let's be frank, you know, rough fights against Max and Chito. There's so many similarities. Vegas counting you out, as you mentioned. What is talk to me about the cartel's grit to come back after all that adversity, but also to come back after everybody counting you out?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like it was. I guess it felt more like there was like a little secret that me, Calvin, Tyson, and Kathy knew that nobody else knew. And it was just, all right, guys, just laughing, like we just kind of like biting our tongue, not saying much, knowing what we did before that Cheetah fight, knowing how well the camp was going, knowing how well I was sparring, knowing how well I was in shape, the pace I was pushing, the conditioning was on point, how great the weight cut went so smooth. I did 2 30-minute sessions Thursday night, and then 1 tub for 25 minutes Thursday night, and I was on weight. I was the second guy on the scale, you know. Michelle Watson, and I only believe I think she only got there before me because I didn't stay at the hotel. I stayed at the Airbnb, which is 25 minutes away. So like, I wanted to make a purpose to be on the first one on the scale, and it was like he just didn't know, you know. He just didn't know, you know. It's kind of like you've been misinformed. You've been listening too much to the media. It seemed like he you know, again, he's like he just didn't know, you know. And then like I feel like we did, you know, and it played out.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of having watched the fight back, can you walk me through the finish? Can you maybe walk me through that first uppercut off the clinch to the finishing blow?
Yeah, so like we clinched up, I grabbed him and I hit him with the uppercut and he just rocked. I was like, well, no, I kind of like it was a little sloppy shot, but I kind of grabbed him and I kneed him and I felt he felt it, and it was like, oh, he kind of like wobbled and looked me dead in the eye, and I was like, oh, here we go, and I hit him with a big right hand. And then we kind of got back into a clinch, and then the uppercut came. Yeah, then the uppercut came, and then from there I was like, oh, he's done. And that's when I just turned it up. I went from like a 6 to an 8, and then just turned it up. And then I started moving my feet, and I saw he just didn't know what to do. He felt overwhelmed. And then once he kind of ran away, and I kind of cut him off, and I jogged and I cut him off. Yeah, like, he's done. And I just with the long jab, caught him with the right hand, and I grabbed this because like I know like in that, we call it the B range, where he's real dangerous. So like we never wanted to be there. So we either want to be all the way out, all the way in. But if I was in that range, I had my hands on either on his elbows, trying like almost like inside control, like on his biceps, or at least on his head. And like once you do that, you kind of off balance. And like I grabbed his head, and I saw a punch coming. I kind of slipped it, and I just let the kind of like overhand hook uppercut, kind of like whatever it was, let go, and I felt like his whole body just lifted and it just exploded on his face, and I could see his eye just roll back, and then I caught his feet, and I was like, all right, let me just time this right hand, and I just laid him in, bang, and like he went out again, and I just kept hammer fisting with the left, and I was like, oh, get him out of there, man. I even felt like the ref kind of could have stopped it a little earlier because he kept going in and out, in and out, in and out. Oh my God, I'm gonna kill this guy. And then obviously they stopped it and we celebrated. It was a great night, man.
Well, question from my dad. My dad wanted me to ask you this question because it felt like there was half a second between the knockout shot, the shot that dropped him, and then the first shot on the ground. Were you waiting for the referee to jump in at that point, or was that just
no? I wanted to make sure he couldn't kick me off, So I wanted to make sure like his feet weren't going to be able to be on my hips. So I kind of stuffed it for a second, and then I just kind of lined up the right hand. But I know what you mean. Like, it was like there was a pause for a second. I knew he wasn't out, but I just didn't want him to kind of get his feet involved. And now we had to start all this again. So I stopped it. I was going to see if I could move it away, but he was just like limp there. He wasn't even kicking up or nothing. I just go. And I just let him go with the right hand, and the left hammer fist followed through.
What does that moment feel like when you've been through so much over the last couple of years? As we talked about pre-fight, the move to 5-round fights, fighting at the Apex, first fighting in front of a crowd in 2019. Just what does that exact moment feel like when the referee does pull you off?
It's the best. It was like finally we're back. Like it hasn't been. I haven't finished since the Mariah's fight. Haven't fought in front of a crowd since the Thane Simpson fight, which is like 2019. It's been a rough year for the cartel. We had Nick Fiore kind of losing his debut, Calvin having an awkward scenario with the whole Josh Emmett scenario. And then comes out and hurts his knee versus Allen. So it's been it's been a lot of ups and downs. It was been a plus having the baby, but it's kind of like that's our personal life, but the professional life is kind of like here. So it's kind of like we got to just kind of meet it up and kind of like equal it out. And so it's been up and down roller coaster. So definitely there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of like feelings as far as the team. Like it's kind of hard to tell the young kids do this, do that, but they're seeing something different. So it's kind of like now like it's like, and I know they believe in us, but it's like now it's like, oh yeah, like there's a different like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like even on like say for the young guys or even the media or the team, like, oh yeah, I forgot this guy's legit. Like we forgot about him, and it's kind of like, which is cool because it is what it is. Like that's what happens with like when you have all these fights the UFC is putting on. When I do lose 2 in a row and I do take a whole year off, like, and I'm not like the most charismatic and out there all the time and in the media and all that. Obviously, we're trying to do more now, but I wasn't that guy that's consistently out there, just consistent with whatever.
You don't talk shit, Rob. And what I mean, what I mean by that is you don't. It's not that you don't trash talk. You will trash talk if necessary, but you don't spread lies. You don't say things that you don't believe to be true. And there's an honor in that, and there's a integrity in that. So that's just that's part of the game.
I'm not out there playing the game, which I guess I could do a little better and get more of that kind of like Dylan Dennis rub, where it's like you're just out there all the time, So I'm not out there, so people do forget. And then Adrian Yanez, I would say, is probably real good at just always being out there. He's always doing some type of fight companion, some type of interview, some type of Twitch, some type of whatever, and because everybody would send me a bunch of clips that he's doing, all the YouTube videos and all that, and you can see that he's consistent. So like you add the fact that I'm kind of not that consistent. I took a year off. He's buzzing. Like he was on a Dana White Contender Series. You get on that show, like there's a lot of eyes on you from the beginning. So it's kind of like he has the name. Yeah, he is ranked. They are trying to push him. If you watch any of the UFC promo, they were pushing him. So it's kind of like, all right, let's buy into it. Let's try to sell him as much as possible too. Let's build him up. Let's keep building him up. Let's make it sound like the biggest, baddest animal. But we, in the back of our mind, we know what we have. We know what we did. We know what we're capable of doing. And then let's see how this plays out. And it worked out.
Where does this rank in terms of your career best wins? Obviously, that 4-fight win streak, people will often count at that point probably the best run of your career. But where does this rank as an individual win, an individual moment?
I think it's got to be definitely the second. Top 2 for sure. Because like there was a gut check. Obviously like they had to step up. I had to step up for the team. Had to show up for me. Had to step up for my family and go out there and remind everybody, but necessarily remind myself too, because there was a point like, man, do I even have power anymore? Because I'm not finishing fights like I used to. Like I hit Chito with everything, and he just laughed at me. So I'm like, all right, like what's going on? So like I know the power was there. We sat down on the punches this fight and really worked on just bringing that power back. Nothing crazy, all basic stuff, but like really sitting down and rotating and developing those power shots and finding the opportunities to let those go, and it played out, man.
I want to ask you something about, and I know this was something that I know that Kathy was in the corner for the Chito fight as well. I'm not sure if she was in the corner for the Aldo fight, but I know she's been in the corner for the last couple. This one, Kathy was there and Calvin wasn't. Was there a
Yeah.
particular reason why you decided to have Kathy there? For those who don't know, this is
Um,
Rob's fiance. Was there a particular reason why you had Kathy there and not Calvin or
yeah,
another
well,
team?
obviously Calvin he can't do as much like as far as warming up and stuff like that. I love having Kathy there. She kind of we've been going back to back main events, so we get four corners, so she's just kind of used to it.
Yeah,
This, I guess on paper the smarter move would have been to have at least Nick Fiore there to warm up and be the jiu-jitsu coach. But I think I feel more comfortable her being there. I know she feels more comfortable being there. Like to have her in the crowd, it's tougher for her. So for her to have that seat right there, and then we also like like if I'm not listening or if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, we have Kathy speak up. So like so if I hear Kathy's
yeah.
voice, I know I'm fucking up. Like so like we kind of like put that out there too. And she's my rider. She's been there from the beginning. Like her and Tyson, like it's like I wouldn't be in the UFC if it wasn't for them. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like it only makes sense. And then we was fortunate enough to have we was able to fly my mom out to watch Emerald as we fought. So but yeah, like I guess we got to get back to main events if I can have the whole squad back.
No, I only asked because you said there about her nerves are better when she's in the corner. I would have presumed most people's nerves would have been worse for their partner, being so intimate and being so close. It's interesting, and actually, when you watch the fight back, she seems like the calmest out of the four of you. Like Jake seems very
Yeah.
calm. Jake's got a smile on his face. Tyson's very serious as he often is, but Kathy just seems stone
She's
cold.
back there singing my walkout song, just
Yeah.
chilling, like, well, yeah, let's do this. Like, yeah, she feels better there. She feels better there. And God forbid, I gotta go back to the hospital. She's there.
Mm.
She understands it. She's been there before. She was there in the Cody fight. She was there in the Cheetah fight. Um, she was going to be there for the Mariah's fight. It was a funny situation where they wouldn't let Calvin into the bubble. So like, all right, we'll just put Kathy in the corner. But it worked out that he finally got into the bubble. She's there. She's my rock. She's there for the weight cut. She's there for the cooking. She does it all. And
Mm.
and again, she even has a role in the corner. And I feel super calm when she's there. Because she's always been there from all my fights. It was one point where like when we first started, it was literally just Kathy, Tyson, and a couple of guys at the gym, but there was no crowd for me. There was nobody doing it with me. There was no family. There was nobody from Florida coming up. It was literally just one time I fought in Rhode Island. And I fought Andre Subitar in Rhode Island. It was literally just my boy from Florida, Miguel Diaz, my corner, and Kathy. That was it. You know what I'm saying? And so like I feel like she's been there from the beginning. Like, why not be there right now?
Yeah. No, of course, of course. Moving from present, if you like, to future. Obviously, you mentioned former flyweight champions named Deiveson Figueiredo as a potential opponent next. Why specifically would you like the Figueiredo fight, and how do you see that one playing out?
I would love to get in there with another big name. I definitely don't want to fight backwards again. The way the division looks, it's kind of like Sean, obviously, probably going to get the next title shot. You got Henry versus Aljamain. Then you have Marab, not obviously going to fight Aljamain. So you're looking at either Corey fighting Marab or him fighting Sugar Shane O'Malley, which I don't see happening.
Yeah.
So I see more realistically the Corey and Marab fight happening. And then you also have Petr Yan and Chito out there. I would love to get the Chito rematch or even the Peter fight, which that probably makes more sense. I see me getting the Peter fight more over the Chito rematch, but I can also see how they book that fight. So I'm kind of like, I'm just waiting there with my hand up. And I think I would like to get a big name. He wants to fight and he wants to come back up to the 35 division. He's a huge name, ex-champion. He talks a lot of shit, so it'll be entertaining as far as like the build up before the fight. And I would love to welcome him back to the division. I need another. Like I said, I need another big name. I think it'd be great for the fans, great for the division. You obviously still have Dominic Cruz, who's a big name, but I know he's looking like he's fighting Cody Garbrandt, so which will be an entertaining fight. So I just think it makes sense.
It's just interesting because online I saw the two main names that were touted for you to be next were Figueiredo and Petr Yan. They seem to be the two that people were going for. Now, in terms of getting back up to the belt, as you mentioned, getting really in the title picture, you would presume Petr Yan would get you closer to that shot than maybe the
Yeah,
former
I mean,
flyweight champ. So is in terms of a strategic position and getting to that world title fight, is the one that you think gets you there quicker?
I would say Petr Yan, but he's also because of the ranking, ex-champion. You know, I would say that, but I can also see how they make that Chito fight happen. Him and Chito, I can see how that I can kind of like the way obviously the way that everything worked out. Chito didn't seem like he got banged up really in that last fight, so it's not like he's going to be waiting. Neither did Petr Yan, so it's not like there's going to be any like gap of injury. Obviously, everything. Hopefully everything's smooth and they're not like all jacked up. I don't see how they don't make that fight happen. But if they don't, I would love to get back in there with Petr Yan. I'd love to get back in there with Chito. If it doesn't, I don't want to fight backwards. So like I think Figgy makes sense.
Last one from me.
To it, man. Figgy versus Spot has a little cool little ring to it.
That did sound pretty cool. I've got to admit that did sound pretty cool. Speaking of that, and speaking of being banged up, I know you had a little bit of a swelling underneath your eye. Let's have a little bit of a look. Oh no, not too bad.
Too bad. It's like it's not swollen. It's just swollen right here. Orbital's fine. No major cuts. Jaw feels great. Hands feel great. I'll say about probably like another 2 weeks to go down, and then I'm right back to the gym.
So when's the timeline for return? Like, if you got an ideal date, we think that would be a good time for me to get back.
Probably October the latest. October, November the latest. I know I got to get back in there. We got Nick Fury fighting soon, so I'll get back in there. But I would wait for the right fight if it makes sense. If I got to get back in there quick, I'm thinking like October.
No, well, maybe back to what we were talking about with Chito. Maybe the October takedown's good in terms of having that full camp and being back to full fitness, as you mentioned. It also gives us 6 months to grow our own podcast, which isn't a bad thing either.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to get back to work with you as well, man. So I got a lot of cool things to look forward to. And obviously, like, just can't keep. I gotta keep my eyes on the prize, and just keep my head down, get back to the gym, and have fun with like the podcast, have fun with the family, and obviously get back to the gym with the boys. Traveling with Nick Fury when he fights, and seeing his hand get raised is pretty cool.
No, of course. Well, obviously, as you mentioned there, that the career is of prime importance. Well, family is of prime importance, but obviously the career, in terms of what we're talking about now, is of prime importance. Rob, it was truly a pleasure to spend so much time with you pre-fight and to really get a great understanding of where you were mentally going into this fight. And whilst I was nervous because you're a friend, I wasn't nervous in terms of the fact that you were going to get your hand raised, and it was great to see. So I shouldn't be biased because I'm media, but it was great to see you get this win, and I look forward to seeing the next one, my friend.
Thank you, man. Thanks for checking on me. Thanks for again spending time with me, as I said before this fight, and let's keep this ball going, man.